Good morning. I'd like to call the meeting of the Business Improvement District to order at 8:30 this morning, and welcome. For the audience here today, the City of Glendora utilizes a hybrid meeting format to allow for participation both in person and virtually. In consideration of others and the business conducted today, please silence your cell phones, which I'm going to do right now, and electronic devices, and refrain from speaking unless recognized. Again, this is a public meeting for the community of Glendora. We appreciate, respect your participation here this morning. We request oral roll call, please.
Of course, thank you. So at this time, I would like to conduct an oral roll call and request that each member respond with present when their name is called. Board Member Davis.
Present.
Board Member Jarvis.
Present.
Board Member Snyder.
Present.
Vice Chair Klingler is absent. Chair Nolan.
Present.
Let the record show 4 members are present. Thank you.
Okay, at this time, we the Pledge of Allegiance. Kathy, can we get you to lead us, please?
Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, does anybody wish to reorder or add to the agenda?
Chair, if we can maybe just switch 3 and 2, the communication coordinator is stuck in traffic. She's tentatively supposed to be here at 8:38.
Okay.
So
okay.
if we can have the chamber go before her.
No,
update.
perfect. No, that'd be fine. Thanks.
Do we have any objections to that change?
No.
Okay, seeing none.
All right. At this point, I'd like to open the public comment period and invite members of the public to address the legislative body. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes, speaking once on both on and off agenda items. If you are in attendance, please fill out a speaker card and submit it to the recording admin before the close of the public comment period. Once recognized, speakers should advance to the podium, state your name and the subject matter you wish to discuss. If you are participating via Zoom, select the raise hand icon in the Zoom before the close the public comment period. Once recognized, you will be unmuted. State your name and the subject matter you wish to discuss. At this point, I'd like to invite any speakers. Linda Ojeda from John Hart Real Estate. If you could come forward. I'm
sorry, Linda, this is actually part of an item.
Okay, so
If that's all we were going to talk about, right? Yeah. This is an item on our list for today.
Okay.
I'm
All
sorry.
right. So we'll get to that later then. Okay. Do we have any others? Is there any Zoom?
Hang on 1 minute because somebody coming in. If anybody on Zoom would like to participate in this public comment, if you can please click on the raise hand icon. I don't have any.
All right. So at this point, I will close the public comment period and invite reports, board statement reports. Does any of the board have anything to report?
I want to thank all the businesses downtown for participating in the Halloween walk. Oh my gosh, I was going to say yesterday, but the day before on Tuesday, we had a very successful Halloween walk. Again, we ran out of candy, even though I buy bags, extra bags, and I even take stuff off the shelves when I get desperate. Like we had a lot of participation this year, so it was good. And I'm looking forward to the holiday stroll.
Yeah, I agree with that. That was really an amazing thing. And she's not here. I'll thank her when she gets here. But the only reason why we actually participated in it, because we're off the avenue, was because Megan showed up at our door with 2 bags of candy and said, "Here you go. I'll have a tent for you and chairs and a table." And that was really, really cool. So we got to participate in it, and it was really fun to see how many people were out.
Yeah, for me, it's like, but thank you everyone that participated, and it was super successful. And I just I don't know if this would be the time to do this, but for next year, to see if we can invite other members from the community to be part of it. So like you were saying, like we're running out of candy, and activities maybe to do in the middle of a street. So if we can open that to other businesses and then maybe even have them sponsor that part, but I don't know if this is the time to say that. I did notice that there were members from Glendora that were not downtown businesses. So I don't know how to if that would be something to discuss for the next meeting. And then on a super great note, welcome John Hart. Like, they are already here, and it's exciting to see how this is becoming the Wall Street of real estate, and it's really awesome bringing more business to the village. So that's amazing. And then also Ramon's opened their doors, so and it seems they have been very successful. So congratulations to them. So that's it for me.
Thank you, everybody. At this point, I'd like to invite any reports from the Community Development Director, Jeff Kugel, and Economic Development and Housing Manager, Valerie Velasquez.
Yeah, just a couple other things to mention about new businesses in the village. We've been processing applications for tenant improvements, as well as an alcohol permit for Revved Up Coffee, which is going to be located, I think it's just north of the like right next to Drink Your Greens. I don't have the exact address, but that's where they're going.
Right next to
And-
Southland and Drink Your Greens.
Right.
Yeah.
And then we've also been talking with there's a investor who has been working on a lease with the kitchen shop and has been making inquiries about locating a restaurant at that building. So we're feeling like that looks like it's possible that there might be a lease that might be able to be struck between the owner and the prospective tenant, and they've been making inquiries about requirements for alcohol permits and tenant improvements and things like that. So we'll keep you abreast of those things as they develop.
And nothing from me.
Thank you, guys. At this point, I would like to invite Joe Cena, the President CEO of the Chamber of Commerce, to come forward with his report.
Morning, everybody. My name is Joe, President and CEO of the Glendora Chamber of Commerce. I thank you for allowing me to speak today. I'll just kind of go over what's coming up here in November and a few things we've been doing. Tomorrow, we have our monthly coffee mixer, the Coffee Buzz, which will be at the Yoga Dance Company down on Grand Avenue near the AAA down there. So if you want to, they also have those swings, like they were in the village for the Glendora Ed Foundation thing. You want to swing on some stuff, join us tomorrow at 8 a.m. while you have your coffee. You just can't spill the coffee. So we've also been doing a lot of ribbon cuttings recently, which we did one right here in the village about a week ago at the Glendora Music and Arts School, which it was a ribbon cutting. They've been there, several years, but they were also celebrating an award that they got. They got the National School of the Year for 2023 from an organization called Music Academy Success. It's a company that makes music academies or music companies, stuff like that. It's like a training. And Luis, the owner of Music and Arts, competed against like 500 other schools and won. So it's just right down here in the village. So we did that, and then we're also having a ribbon cutting at Walmart. Their grand reopening again, almost 7 years to the date. Because I look back at the pictures, it's going to be November 10th at 8 a.m. And I look back November 10th, 7 years ago is when we were there last time. So they're going to have a lot of different presentations. They're also going to have a performance by the Glendora High School Pipe Band, which they opened it up last time too, which, as I'm sure you've heard, the pipe band just got back, well, in August from Scotland, where they performed Gaslow, however you say it, Glasgow, at the World Championships, where they were the only youth pipe band from the United States there, and they got 9th out of the world. They even beat some Scotland band. So I just wanted to put that in. So, and their drummers got 5th in the world. It's a big deal. I got a band kit, not in there, but that's why I brought it up. We're also doing a ribbon cutting for Monster Deals. They're down on Grand where the Gunslinger was. It's kind of one of those discount stores. You buy different things. So we're doing one of those on November 15th at 10 a.m. So if you want to come down and check that out. We'll also be open for the stroll, on the 17th, as we usually are. This month for our networking lunch, we're going to change it up a bit. We're going to do what they call a lunch mob. So we're going to go mob a couple restaurants. We'll announce them later, where it's more just to invite everybody just to go have lunch at a restaurant. We're not going to mob anybody. So, but gonna try something different. There isn't going to be a formal presentation or anything. It's just try to get a group of people to an eatery in town. Because I mean, we're kind of limited where we can have our networking lunches because of space. So we may kind of change it up. I may add this so monthly so we can have one at the eatery and different places like that. So it's, because I know we can't take over your whole restaurant at lunch. So, but so we're going to start doing these. Let's see what else. The Shop Glendora Keep the Cheer Here holiday contest is going to start up here. It's going to be for purchases from November 16th to December 18th, where for every $50 someone spends in town, they get a chance to win a prize. Like we'll have prizes and stuff. If they shop a chamber member, they double their chance. And it can be for anything. I mean, we've had car purchases to restaurants, to grocery store, to whatever it is. As long as you're shopping in Glendora, have a chance to win. Then also we look for prizes too. So if you have a business who want to donate a prize for some promotion, stuff like that, just let me know. So so we're going to be kicking that off. And then also with the holidays, we'll have our holiday mixer at the Glendora Country Club on December 6th. It is a Wednesday night at 6:30 in the evening. So they always put on a nice spread over there. It's not a full meal. It's a heavy hors d'oeuvre kind of a thing. Tickets are available, right now. So you go on our website and pick those up. And then also the Christmas parade planning is underway. Will be December 9th at 9 a.m. We'll keep the helicopters higher this year. And yeah, just when they turn. So but yeah, but there will be a flyover again and stuff like that. But so we're going to have a nice nice parade and stuff. Get a lot of people downtown to kick off Christmas. So with that, there's a lot of other stuff going on, but to kind of sum it up, any questions at all?
Yeah. How much is to participate at the Christmas parade, like to be part of the parade?
See, $40. Yeah. If you go to GlendoraChristmasParade.com, the application's there.
Okay.
I think it's $40. I've had it there. It's the same price for a long time. I forget. But I think it's $40. Yeah. Yeah, I think so far we already have like 50 entries or so. So it'll be nice and big. Questions?
Any comments for Joe?
No.
Thank you very much, Joe.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. At this point, we would like to get an update on our communication coordinator with Megan Kay.
Hello, good morning, everybody. Just a quick update. So on Tuesday, we had our Halloween walk. It's great success. I just want to take a moment to thank the Glendora PD for their support and assistance throughout the entire day, in addition to all of our sponsorships who really helped make it come to life. We were able to get $1,900 in sponsorships for this event, which really helped offset the cost of the overall event itself. Again, we were able to supply 2 bags of candy per participating business. This year, we had an overwhelming response to kind of our distribution of the candy. And just overall village involvement. We had a lot of businesses that hadn't participated in the past that did this year with, great reviews back. So, which was awesome. We also were able to bring back our electric trains that went up and down the avenue, in addition to having Village Fitness, which supplied a 80s workout, in addition to a photo op that was very popular amongst the parents and children. So it was a great event. We still I'd like to do a regroup meeting with the committee or whomever sometime this week or maybe next week. A few notes that I think we should consider for next year, which I've heard in years past, we should consider possibly adding some sort of restroom situation. I know that's the biggest thing, and I know it's hard for businesses too. Mostly restaurants are usually the most easiest to give that ability to our patrons, but obviously we don't want to overrun the restaurants as well. There's thousands of children that come each year. So I would say restrooms are the biggest thing that I heard back feedback wise. In addition to possibly water stations or something like that. We got a lot of little kids coming in and out that just might need a little bit of more resources. Beyond that, though, great success. We're ramping up for our holidays in the village. So I already have currently 12 businesses that have submitted their Small Business Saturday promotions to me. So we made a mock-up last night of what our postcard discount card is going to be looking like, hopefully for this year. So we're going to get with our graphics team of how we can best distribute this, whether this be a situation where it's going to be a card that businesses stamp off the promotion once it's been used, cross it out, or if it's one of those kind of tear cards where once, you've gone in, used the promotion, they tear off the card, throw it away, all that. So we're working with that. And we're also offering some promotions with other businesses too that maybe run the entire month or until the end of the year. Specifically our businesses that have more enrollment structures for classes for kids, whether that be art or performing arts. So so far it's looking very good. We'll also have a booth in the Bus Plaza on Small Business Saturday, also passing out the discount cards. The goal is to have them printed and distributed to all businesses before the stroll. So it's something that can be passed out at the stroll and people can take advantage of the following week. We'll also have a booth at Small Business Saturday there to also pass out the discount cards. In addition to that, if people return with a receipt from the village, they will also be submitted into a raffle. That's what we have planned for that. We already have our Santa in the Village on Saturdays taken care of, in addition to the stroll, which is ramping up. And then the November newsletter will be going out this week. That will cover again what we just spoke about, the holiday in the stroll or holiday in the village, in addition to also ramping everybody up for Wine Walk, which although is a few months away, we'll be here before we know it. So the committee will be speaking soon about setting a for sure date, in addition to any new ways we're going to restructure, if any. But yeah, that's all I have. Any questions?
Congratulations, you did phenomenal job. I know the weather was crazy and you were distributing the candy and everything. It was great effort. You did such a phenomenal job. So
Thank you.
Congratulations and thank you for your help. It really has made a huge difference, in the organization overall. And I think in grand part, what you were saying, that more businesses participating in everything, it's in grand part because of the work that you've been doing. So thank you again for that. And I have a question regarding I believe the Claremont Wine Walk is coming up in November. I believe it's the 18th. Are you going to be attending to kind of see how
I definitely can, for sure.
Oh, okay. Just
Yeah.
to kind of
Yeah.
see what
Absolutely.
they're doing and bring new ideas and things
Yeah.
like that.
Absolutely. Happy to, for sure.
Congratulations
Thank
again.
you.
It was really great.
Thank you. Oh, and I also want to thank Top Billing for putting on our costume contest as well. In addition to Crust and Crumble and the Ice Cream Shop, which donated prizes to our costume contest for the little ones. So, but yeah, that's all I've got.
I have
Thank
a
you.
question. Do you have anything? Yeah. I also wanted to say thank you. I also think that it's made a big difference. And obviously my business would not have participated if you had not come over and dropped off 2 bags of candy. And so that was actually really fun for us because we're off the avenue. And I mean, this is my experience, but I think it should also extend to all of the off avenue businesses, is to have somebody come and sort of corral us into doing some of this stuff. It was really fun for 2 web developers to sit there and pass out candy. And the only other thing that I was going to say was we had a little bit of communication about the Small Business Saturday card
Yeah.
thing, and just to hear you talk about it now, it sounds like you've gotten sort of the overall structure of what you're going to do for businesses that can do discounts on that Saturday versus businesses that can't.
Yeah.
I think it would be really helpful for the future, obviously, to have that organized in such a way that when emailing it out for someone like us,
Right.
that we'd be like, oh, okay, here's exactly what we need to do.
Absolutely.
Because I think, if there was like an additional thing or whatever it is, we would include something on that.
Totally.
So, and there may be other, counseling services or other kind of service-based companies that would participate in that as well. So
Definitely.
yeah, that'd be really helpful.
Absolutely.
But thank you for all you're doing.
You're welcome.
Did you send that email out for the Small Business Saturday participation thing? Because
Yeah.
I don't think I received anything.
Okay, yeah, no, definitely. We'll triple check. Yeah, everything's been sent out
Okay.
about probably weekly emails, I would say, and then a reminder too of it.
Okay. Well, I'm bad at checking my email, so I will admit that.
No, that's okay. No, but I'll double check to make sure. And that was another thing that has come from just me popping into businesses and communicating with the newsletters and just a kind of more constant stream of emails. I've also had a lot of businesses reach out and say like, hey, can you also add this admin onto our list and all that, which is actually super helpful and happy to do so. The more people at each business that see it, the better. So we've had a few that say, can you CC our admin or can you bring in, which is totally fine. I add them straight to the roster, which is on a shared drive. So I can also, if anybody needs any help with that. For sure.
Also, about the Halloween walk. Do you
Yes.
happen to know if the restrooms in the bus plaza were open during that time?
It
or-
was my understanding that they were not.
And I've noticed that they're not open at
they're-
events usually.
yes.
Like, I don't know if we're having a problem with the restrooms.
It's my understanding that yes, Glendora PD did confirm that when I spoke to them earlier in the day. Like I said, they were great help. On Tuesday, we had just a few instances that they were able to step in right away and really help. But it was my understanding that because I think the homeless issue that we've been having, that they have just chosen to close them for the time being.
Right.
That has been an issue ongoing just on every day that I've heard previously of, anybody with kids, anybody that's walking, just to go get ice cream or whatever, there's no bathrooms.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the answer to that is, but
Well, we have restrooms. We should have them accessible.
Right. So maybe we can consider, maybe the bid can consider either upping the budget for the Halloween event so that we can include, and they don't necessarily have to be, especially too, because there's so many children and parents that come to, it doesn't necessarily have to be the restroom trailers that we utilize for the wine walk. Those are very nice. Even just porta potty situations would be great and helpful considering the amount of families that come in. So maybe that could be something we can either consider upping the budget for events, or it can maybe come from a separate line item that it's just something that we always have at events. I'm sure parents would appreciate it. And I'm sure the restaurants would too. I know I did have lunch later in the afternoon. And you could tell some of these restaurants had gone through it the entire afternoon. So we just want to not inundate them as best as possible.
At every event.
Right,
Not just
exactly.
at every
No,
event.
exactly.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
how do we codify that?
They're city restrooms, right?
No, I mean, how do we say, okay, like,
To add it for the next.
it just needs to be something that's a part of every
Well,
event
we
that
need to
do.
make sure they're functioning first.
We'll be preparing the budget in January for the upcoming year. So when we get to that point, I'll go ahead and put a note. I've made a note that I will add it and you guys can discuss the budget when we get there in
Usually
January.
do porta potties for the holiday stroll.
No, and I was just going to point that
Yes,
out.
for the
Oh, do
holiday
we?
stroll, we do.
That's the worst event for the restaurants.
Yes.
With because it's such a crowd.
We've
and
already secured them for the holiday
They're
stroll.
lined up in the bathrooms on
Right.
that night. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And then I have another question,
Yeah.
more like a technical question. Some of the logos on the banner.
Yes.
And I know, and I do understand perfectly about like the technicality in terms of like the holes and everything that need to go like, so the.
Yeah.
Get to that. But then some of the logos got like, that's like, it literally punched through that logo.
Mhm.
So, is there any way like maybe in the future for other events and things like that,
Mhm.
like to just make sure, like the sponsors that like really-
Absolutely.
that they are really featured and it's not just like the whole because it's
Absolutely. And then also in all transparency too, our Halloween banner from last year got destroyed in the weather. I'm not really quite sure exactly what happened. So we ended up getting the banner redone this year. And so we had brought on a new graphic artist in the same process. So it was kind of a swift process of time. But definitely for different events coming up, we'll be able to take our time developing the banners and mitigate issues like that.
Thank you.
For sure.
Sorry, more questions
Yeah,
about the
no,
Halloween walk.
it's
Do you happen to know who set up the sound, the music in the plaza?
Are you talking about for the exercise?
Oh, I don't know. There was just a machine out there
Yes,
with a long cord that,
it was it was our School of Music local here
Okay.
that helped loan out the sound system, which
Okay.
was really very generous of them, and they had offered to do it in other parts of the avenue too had we needed it. We were hoping, but I know that John Hart Real Estate is on it too. We were hoping that we would be able to get access to the city sound system to transfer over to a Halloween playlist due to some outdated technical issues that we're currently trying to mitigate. We'll have that for next year so that we can have constant sound system throughout. But for the time being, the School of Music was able to donate the speaker to Village Fitness, which was lovely,
okay,
which was great.
just, we just need to be aware that when we have long cords out and there's lots of children running around, that they're secured.
For sure.
Because that, I was concerned about that.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And Dalel also mentioned earlier in this meeting that we had outside businesses that were set up passing out candy. I mean, I don't have a problem with that, except for that the bid puts on this event. I mean, we paid for the candy and stuff. Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
What
so-
businesses?
Specifically the Little Grins Pediatric Dentistry, I think was there.
Yeah.
That was the only one that I saw. Did you guys see other ones?
Yeah. I did not see that, and we did not give permission for that. So I don't, when maybe we can brainstorm in a way
Oh.
to, if it's some sort of thing that we patrol before the event starts. I'm not exactly sure how to kind of police that. I do know that I did give permission to some of our businesses, like what Matt's saying, that are off the avenue or behind, to definitely come on the street. But no, I was not aware of that.
They'll
Totally.
definitely have like the right because they're part of the bid and everything. I think an idea not to kind of police or kick them out or anything, actually like, do a collaboration, and maybe that would be like a great sponsorship
Absolutely.
opportunity for us to bring together the whole community, not
Right.
just like creating, just like the bid. I mean, this is an idea maybe for a future.
Well, and no, you're right, because that is ultimately the goal of the sponsorships, is that you have the option, especially if you're not on the avenue, you can have a booth. It has it in the sponsor. I 100% agree.
And it would be really awesome because like we have some like since the street is closed and everything, there's like a lot of opportunities and everything. I know the step and repeat was in the middle, but there's like we could have another one more like towards the north end of it and
Right.
everything. So where like the flow goes everywhere, not just like in
Right.
one area. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. And that, like I said, is probably part of my suggestion to consider increasing the budget a little bit so that we can help fill the street too with items. I know our sidewalks are full with kids and we have the train running up and down, but I do think, and we have the step and repeat for the costume contest in the middle. But it might be fun to integrate a few items down the avenue in the middle.
because, like how like you were like in part of the avenue and stuff. It looked really cool because there's like more people were going to him and like it showed more traffic and people were
Absolutely.
approaching all areas. So
Well, I even noticed that too, even though the street was closed,
Yeah.
people are very polite and they stay on the sidewalk. So we've definitely, and obviously the train was going to, people didn't want to get run over, but it would be nice to fill that kind of look would be great.
Yeah, and just for future events too, if we could get more participation from like nonprofits and stuff, maybe doing crafts and things with the kids, like more activities.
Yes,
To keep
absolutely.
the kids busy and.
And I know I had a local church reach out. I think it's actually Matt's church, reach out just a few days before and ask what kind of support they could lend. In that moment, there was not much we could do, but I definitely said we would keep them in mind. So something like that for sure, if that's possible. I don't know the litigation behind
Well,
it.
thank
but
you for
You're
all your
welcome.
work.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Oh, again, congratulations.
Yeah.
It was super successful.
Thank
and
you.
There's always ideas and
Thank you.
room to grow and everything, but
Yes.
you did phenomenal.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you
So
very
just
much,
a-
Megan.
Just a question from me, because you guys are talking a lot about participation, and it has always been when people call the city and ask if they can have a participation on any event, that we typically respond that they cannot, because as you mentioned, this is a bid event and you guys pay assessments to go towards these events. And so outside businesses coming in are getting benefits without having to pay an assessment. So we have always told them that they're not allowed to participate unless they are a sponsor. And typically the sponsorships are pretty significant monetarily in order to be on the street to kind of discourage other businesses. But if that's something you guys want to take a look at, and maybe you want to do it for Halloween, but maybe not the wine walk, or if that's something you guys want to do, then we should probably get some instruction and bring that back, or we just keep it the way it is, and that is that we do not allow outside businesses to come in.
I'm of the opinion to keep it the way it is. We pay a premium to be where we are and to pay into these. If they're a big sponsor, then absolutely, I think then it's fine to let them in, but not just to let everybody come in and go up and down the street with what they have.
We could also ask them to become a bid member.
Well,
Or-
you can only be a bid member if you're in the boundaries
Right. Okay.
geographically.
Or charge the equivalent of a bid membership.
That's what I'm asking. I don't, if there's consensus or if there's merit to further discuss this, or we just keep it the way it is.
I mean, I think about Little Grin's pediatric dentistry, and they're in the Grand and Foothill Plaza with Vons. What opportunity would they have? What other businesses that are in the area have to be a part of something like this?
They could be a sponsor though, and
They
then
could be a
and then-
sponsor.
and then
Right.
have the opportunity to be down there.
And to Valerie's point though as well, and it's been expressed to me multiple times as well, it's also slightly slippery slope to do that because we might have competing businesses, right? So we have a person that provides certain goods on the avenue, but then you bring in another one who does the same exact thing.
It's happened in the
Not a good
past
look,
with other
in my
events. And I don't remember if it was the bar show or one of the bid events, but where a real estate company that's not down there got set up in front of one of our
Yeah, that
real
makes
estate-
sense.
real estate.
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Or people.
Right,
whatever,
right.
yeah.
And usually it's the
Yeah.
food. Usually it's
Mhm.
the food thing
Yeah,
that comes
yeah.
up constantly. But that could be in any industry. So
Yeah.
that's also
Yeah.
something to consider as well.
So can we bring it back and then consider different levels like brackets of like sponsorships and then deciding like what kind of businesses would be allowed to come in,
Yeah.
not to compete to restaurants or other things. So
Or have some sort of approval
approval.
process. I don't know.
If two of you agree that's what you want to do, then we can bring it back. If it's just one of you, then we just keep it the way it is and move on.
And I ask a question of the board, like why would we bring more businesses downtown? I mean, we already have hundreds of kids. We've got
Exactly.
tons of candy. I mean,
Hearing the logic now makes me say, which is.
I mean,
Got you said
when
again, then
when
you
I
look at the other
suggested
events.
bringing nonprofits and churches in to do crafts and things with the kids, so we have activities.
That's
That's
different,
yeah, like
Yeah. Okay.
that's a legitimate question. That's what I'm sitting here thinking. Like, why do we need to bring more people in? It's not
You're right.
it's not the wine walk. We're not doing it. We're not doing this to raise money.
Right.
We're doing this just as downtown businesses to bring, families in for our community. And so
Yep.
I
Agreed.
don't really see the necessity to bring, outside businesses in for this event.
So maybe to me, just like a question would be like maybe to sponsor the restrooms or to fill out like, the center of it. if we needed, and if we wanted to do more like of a sponsorship to bring in more revenue for the bid, that would be.
I think something to consider for next year, specifically the Halloween walk. And I know Valerie and I spoke about it very briefly. If we could get really ahead of it, hopefully by next year, if you guys would have me back, I would have more time leading up to it. It'd actually be really great if we could, in some capacity, possibly getting the candy sponsored and or semi-sponsored by Costco or Sam's Club, and then in return, Sam's Club or Costco could have and that would not, I don't think, be a direct competition with anything or anyone. So something like that would be lovely if we can make it work. I don't know what their abilities or not abilities to do, but that would be helpful. And the candy is very expensive and takes a huge chunk of the budget anyway. So any help would be appreciated.
And like you were saying, like we were running out of candy and then we have to put out of pocket more on top of what we're already paying. So we can get a sponsorship like that for restrooms. So more like major, like kind of sponsorships, like you're saying, just like a different bracket, not to bring in restaurants or different like direct competition to like the businesses that are already there.
Or
Because the goal is to showcase our businesses and for us to be the stars of the show and everything, just like to compensate the other expenses for the budget to kind of provide better services to the kids, like
right.
the candy, the restrooms. So
Right. Or if anybody has good relationships with somebody who owns a company that has porta potties, and they can be a sponsor. Athens for Wine Walk, they donate so much assistance, and they're sponsored for the Wine Walk.
yeah, so something at that level, not
Something to consider for sure. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Megan. We appreciate it. Moving on to the consent calendar. Items on the consent calendar will be enacted by one motion without individual discussion unless a board member has requested it be removed for separate discussion. Does anybody wish to comment on the minutes from the last meeting?
No, I move to approve.
a second.
We have a motion made by Board Member Davis and seconded by Board Member Snyder. Is that correct? I will now open up so you guys can do vote and conduct an oral roll call vote. Board Member Davis,
Yes.
Board Member Jarvis,
Yes.
Board Member Snyder,
Yes.
Chair Nolan,
Yes.
motion carries 4-0.
At this point, we're going to discuss the return of a marketing committee requested by members Davis and Snyder. I invite Valerie Velasquez to report on this and discuss.
Great, thank you. So yes, as you noted, this was requested at the last meeting to come before the board for discussion. So in the past, there was a marketing committee and there was usually one or two board members that would attend, as well as other businesses that were interested in participating. The marketing committee or the marketing consultant usually attended, as well as a member from city staff. And the goal of the marketing committee was to come up with additional ideas to market the village, whether it was maybe attending events that were outside of the village. I know they attended APU at one point, City's Earth Day. They would, I think at one time they had prepared a welcome packet for businesses, did banners for, sporting, maybe the high school. Sometimes you can go ahead and sponsor a sporting team at the high school and have your banner that, kind of marketed the village. So they would do additional things beyond just the social media and the website. That's an idea. And they'd also kind of just keep track and keep the marketing consultant in tune with what was happening in the village. And it was very much voluntary based. And so everyone got busy and it kind of died out. So the question came up at the last meeting, whether or not it should be revived. And I guess that's now an opportunity for you to discuss whether or not you guys would like to do that. And then just keeping in mind also the attendance at the event or at these meetings, if you choose to do that, we have the consultants right now in their agreement. They have a limited amount of hours to devote to the village. So I would suggest if you do decide to bring it back, keep in mind, if you want them to attend these, you're going to take time away from what they are already doing, unless you want to change their agreement, Otherwise, it might be best just to meet and then feed them the information with an email and give them direction. But again, that's for you guys to discuss what you want to do. And I'll return it to the board. I know, Dalal, this was something that you wanted to bring back, so you can kind of talk that through with your fellow board members.
I guess that's me. Well, yeah, I just like to kind of keep everything in tune, like with, you know, everything that we're doing, and like give more information, like of what Megan is doing and everything, and have everything more like cohesive in terms of, you know, the, who's going to be part, or who are we going to be featuring on our social media platforms and the Facebook and all that. Maybe not necessarily have her come, like, you know, to a special meeting or at like a lot of meetings, you know, just to discuss things. But it could either be a Zoom meeting, maybe even half an hour to kind of go over everything, like kind of having it within the same you know, scope of business that we already have with her, so that way we don't have to add more budget to it, but to kind of give it a little bit more direction, and also to have more pictures and more like updated information in terms of, you know, what's happening in the village. So basically that was the idea, and to literally monitor what's going on social media, because sometimes there are things that shouldn't be there, and then sometimes I'm kind of browsing through it and I'm like, okay, and then I do bring it to her attention, and she has been very like incredibly responsive, and she takes action right away. But just like to have a point of contact to where, you know, things get to a point where we're cohesive with what we're doing. No businesses, no pictures, and things like that. So.
And just for clarification, Megan is our communications and events, and then we have Louise, who's the marketing person. So Louise would be the social media person.
So I think there's a great benefit to having some kind of a committee that meets, potentially it's just once a quarter for an hour, maybe it's a lunch meeting or something, to, you know, like Valerie was saying, to talk about kind of bigger picture things. I think some of the stuff, like, you know, we just spent 20 minutes talking about the Halloween walk, and the question that I have is that would that meeting replace the need to talk about things like bathrooms and stuff like that in this meeting, or could it be bigger picture things, like how, you know, bigger ideas, how do we market the village? Do we create a logo and a brand for the village itself and market that? Are there other opportunities? Those are the kinds of things that are not going to happen here.
I mean, I think it's a good idea. But I think what Valerie is trying to communicate to us is that it's going to have to be upon us to set the meeting, take the minutes, get the businesses involved. Like, I mean, this is an opportunity for us.
Does this include businesses, or is this just like a couple of us
Well,
getting together and talking about?
It would include
Thanks.
other businesses.
Right. So it could only be no more than 2 of you for Brown Act. So only 2 of you can
Right.
go ahead and participate, and then you can recruit other businesses. We had other businesses in with the marketing committee
And
in the
that could
past.
be part of this committee. So you don't need to have everybody, but you can have
You just have a handful that
handful,
will
yeah.
help. And to your point, yes, and they did do that. I know they updated the bid logo at one point, just things that, you know, don't happen here or with any of the events, but there's, you know, a little bit above and beyond that you chose to update stuff.
So that committee could come up with a couple of line items, and then it would come to this entity for approval.
Yes. That's
Yeah.
how it was in the past, anyhow, of my recollection.
And I think it was a way to get some other key businesses to support the events that were put on, who might not otherwise have a way to become directly engaged with the bid. And also, I think the chair, whether it was Dalal or another member, would give a monthly report to the board on the meeting of the marketing committee. Maybe that becomes a quarterly meeting or,
Yeah.
you know, what have you, but it was a way to do, and I think the desire was to do that, you know, this is a very formal setting, to have a little less informal meeting and to get more businesses engaged in the bid itself and the events.
Yeah, especially as we've got more businesses downtown that want to be engaged in
And newer
marketing,
businesses coming in also. in
right,
that.
in
Mhm.
marketing and promotion.
Mhm.
It could be a good idea almost to
Mhm.
have, you know, here's sort of the 4 or 5 most active businesses from a marketing standpoint, be a part of that. I'm in favor of it.
I am as well.
So
Good idea. Any other comments? Questions?
I'm in favor too.
So, at this
how
point, I
specific
guess,
do we need to get about what it is?
Well, I think you need to kind of designate one of you to go ahead and lead it.
you want to do it, Talal or Matt?
Ed, and then.
Yeah, I can lead it.
Okay.
Um,
I'll help you.
Okay, and then so from a do we need to define what the structure of it is at this point, or is that sort of up to
Wouldn't that be up
us?
to them?
I don't think so. So at this point, maybe offline, you and Dalal could kind of speak about maybe getting together with the first meeting. And then if either of you have other people you want to kind of recruit to help you out and decide what you.
I think it would be really helpful to have Megan and Louise there. But again, I want to be very respectful of. I want to be respectful of the things that were like, you know, oh, there's a thing, you know, when walking Claremont, well, just, you know, or, you know, whatever it is. I want to be, if we get to a point where we're like, no, I can't, please say so.
Sorry. I was just gonna say definitely, and it might be good too, especially in the beginning, to get involvement from businesses too, coordinating with Lisa and I, or at least myself too, because that can go out in the newsletter. Like, hey, this is something that's going to be coming up soon,
Yes.
or something we're developing. If you're interested,
Mhm.
Just if you get to a point where
Oh, no.
you're overextended, please.
I
say
have no
so.
boundaries. So you're good.
That's the thing that that's my concern.
I think the concern with getting Louise involved, though, what Valerie is saying is we have that limitation of the hours that they're working per month. So we have to be
Right.
careful about that unless we up the budget there.
And that's going to be on Louise and Megan to tell us, hey, I can't do this. But that's the thing that I'm concerned about, is that I don't want you to say yes to everything.
Thank you.
Here's.
All right. So do we need to get a motion to approve this then? How's
Correct.
this?
So the motion is to approve the return of the marketing committee and assign board member Davis and board member Snyder to lead the marketing committee. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
It's Snyder,
Sorry, excuse me.
Snyder and, oh yeah, Davis. I'm so sorry.
You got it.
Good. Okay, sorry. It was Nolan first and second was by Snyder. Perfect. So I will conduct an oral call vote. Board member Davis,
Yes.
board member Jarvis,
Yes.
board member Snyder,
Yes.
Chair Nolan.
Yes.
The motion carries 4-0.
Perfect. Okay, moving on to the outdoor music in the village. And I once again invite Valerie to give us a report on this.
Thank you again. So again, this is a member requested item. This is with regards to the outside exterior music that is played throughout the Glendora Village. As you all know, it was formerly housed, or it is housed at the 111 building, formerly the Andrews, now occupied by John Hart. They have requested to continue operating the music, and so the bid wanted to go ahead and give approval or some kind of recommendations as to what is allowed to be played. And so I went back with Linda, and she's going to go ahead and offer you guys a sample of what she has in mind. And maybe this way she has an approved list of what can be played in the downtown. So I'm going to hand it over to
Audio
Linda.
sample.
And then,
Yeah, so good morning, Linda Ojeda with John Hart Real Estate. We spoke to the company, Paul, who is currently handling the music or set it up, and we wanted to upgrade the system because Valerie and I went out and it's so old, it's stuck. So we couldn't even figure out what else we could play from there. Yeah, it's ancient.
What is it?
Yes, it's an RCA system. Yeah, exactly. So we spoke to Paul, XP Solutions, right? And they can upgrade the system, $895. Not, we'll take that on. And we can either use XM, Sirius XM, we can use Spotify, we can use Pandora. It's able to be Bluetooth. So like, say for the Halloween walk, we wanted, Halloween trick or treat, we wanted to do spooky music, we couldn't, but now we will be able to.
In the past, they did though, because I was shocked that morning when there was no Halloween music playing.
We were
They would
trying
play
to
a
get
CD.
stuff.
They would play a
Oh.
CD and we,
They had CDs?
yeah, they had
Oh,
a CD.
I'm sure.
Is
So
the,
maybe
is
I
the
do.
person who runs this, is that someone that you have a contract with for any other things, or is that just the?
This is the company that has been utilized. So I suppose, I mean, we're just going with who we have been utilizing for the past
Utilizing
decades
for
or decade.
updating, like keeping the whole sort of system.
Correct.
They run the wire, it goes across the top of the buildings. And at our alley between Southland and us, you can see a wire that just goes across the alleyway there from building to building. Yeah.
So we can do, keep the XM subscription, very cheap, like $24 a month. Or we can do Pandora. We could also Bluetooth and Spotify an actual list. And he says it's really nice because you could set it up on timers. So, maybe in the morning we want to keep the music that we have. No. Okay. Or do like, a little bit more coffee music, whatever. And then maybe from 1 to 5 when we want to have some of the, school age kids come over, do pop, and then go back in the evening because it's from 9 to 9 is what I see on the timer. Starts at 9 and
Oh,
ends at 9.
it's on earlier than that.
Is it? Okay.
I'm out blowing down and cleaning at 7:15, 7:30, and it comes on about that time.
Perfect. So good.
Yeah, which is a
7
fine
to
time.
10, right?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. Mhm.
Again, can be set on
Yeah.
timer. So
Bing Crosby starts it off in the morning.
Oh, Don, I'm so sorry.
So I have XM on my phone and we can kind of go through some of the channels that came up for me was like today's hits, right? To see what young people would want to hear. There's the Pulse, which is really nice, like softer pop hits. There's also the Coffee House, which is one of my favorites. These have kind of limited interruptions, not so many people talking. You'll hear more music, kind of like what we have right now. So do you guys want to listen to some of the stations? Would you guys like to?
I think the biggest consideration here is what kind of music is playing at what time, and also how do we filter, how do we keep it, for lack of a better term, family friendly? So today's hits, you're going to get a lot of stuff that is maybe not going to be appropriate.
I agree. You may get 1 or 2 in there that could not be appropriate.
I also, I personally don't want to hear, sappy love songs from the 80s.
Yeah.
So, cause that's, yeah.
Might be better than Bing Crosby. I don't know.
So those are the things, but like, coffee house music, the stuff that like people don't necessarily, know.
Even a light
as
jazz
well.
or something like that, is nice
have
too
a
in the evenings and
nice
that,
jazz
yeah.
station.
I think there's
Yeah.
a speaker out by Stubborn Mule and the ice cream shop
No,
that plays their
The
own
speakers
music.
are only on the west side.
There is a
Oh, there is a
it's just-
speaker
That's somebody
plays
else's then.
other music.
Stubborn,
Yeah. Yeah.
And every time I've walked by there, it's that stuff has been fine as
Yeah.
well. So
You gotta hang on. That's
so what I would have recommended was to kind of keep the golden oldies in the morning, and then like you were saying,
golden oldies. Maybe let's get into the 60s at least,
So there's stations like the 60s, the 70s, 80s, whatever we would like. It's just a matter of everybody deciding.
I think variety too is good, I mean, yeah. Yeah, change it up every once in a while. I mean, I have Spotify inside the restaurant and we just play different things. Sometimes it's country, we'll feel like, we'll play country station, or sometimes it's,
Does the city have any opinion about this?
I think it just sounds to me, because I think Dawn is reflecting a number of comments that have been received over the years that it's really, I mean, I think it's really just like 40s and 50s sort of pop that has been played, or
Yeah, 40s and 50s.
yeah. So I think if it could be, I think coffee shop music, ambient music. If you walk into, even many contemporary clothing stores or things like that, you always hear music playing. So I think there's probably plenty of stations to choose from, and use your judgment on that. I think I'm hearing what the board's saying. I think you're understanding what the board's saying, and use your best judgment, and we'll come back in a month and say, hey, what do you guys think of what's been playing over the
think
last
about
month?
going to an outdoor mall area,
Yeah.
Victoria Gardens. Think about what they play.
So the two that come up to mind, and I mean, I don't know if you guys have XM, but like the Pulse and
Yeah.
Coffee House are
Yeah.
two like really nice stations that
Right,
give you
they
a
are.
variety, and they are
Mhm.
kid family friendly and
Mhm.
very little,
Mhm.
announcements or commercials. So
Mhm.
we can start with that and see what you guys think. And
Yeah.
next month, you could say, Linda, no. And then I'm sure by the holiday walk, we're gonna want to do more Christmas
At that point, it was all Christmas
through January,
till the end, till
like what?
New Year's, I think.
There's no Thanksgiving season anymore.
I would say at least by the stroll, you
Yeah,
want to
I would
have
say
Christmas on. Yeah.
January 5th, because I know some of us, like different multiculturals, still celebrate the,
Mhm.
what is it, for us, it's Armenian Christmas, but the Wise Kings is like the 5th or 6th of January.
You're
Yeah.
Armenian?
My husband.
Okay. I'm half.
Um,
I'm half, so yeah. Yeah.
Good. So I think, right, holiday stroll maybe that week through January 5th, we'll keep it to like Christmassy music, and then we'll go back to Coffee House and Pulse.
Sounds good. People are gonna be
Um,
so excited about this.
And then we're okay with it starting at 7, ending at 10.
Oh, yeah, I think that's perfect.
'Cause
Yeah.
we're gonna do the timer, and
Yeah.
whatever music you guys think like, no, I'm not liking this, let us know, because at that point.
Don't worry, I
once the
will.
System is, once the system is upgraded, it's gonna be super easy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to just kind of fine tune.
There's only a couple of people that hear like more than 10 minutes of this at a time. So
I hear it all day because I'm outside. Yeah. Yeah. She and I would hear probably.
And there's like a lot of people, there's a lot of traffic, believe it or not, like at that time in the morning, because there's a lot of people that are walking,
walkers
running,
and
that. Oh, yeah,
walking
we
the
have
dogs, or
walkers.
going to the
Yeah.
dry cleaners, like that area, it's really very, like, you'll be surprised, there's more people walking at that time
Yeah.
than later in the evening. It's incredible.
And then I found out Tuesdays is Veterans Breakfast, right? So they have we have this nice big group. of
Maybe Bing
veterans
Crosby
with
for
us,
that
so
day
we-
then.
Something for them too, just-
they're right all like kind of in your, yeah.
they were super nice. Okay, so we'll try it out. The system should be upgraded in about 2 weeks. And then I'll let you guys know. We can maybe send an email that music's about to change. Yeah,
You'll hear cheers.
awesome. Thanks, guys.
All right. Thank you. So now we need to make a request for a motion on this.
I make a motion to
Upgrade.
update the music and
Second.
rotate it,
Does
Whatever.
this motion include spending the money we need to spend or whatever to update the system, or how does that work?
Yeah.
So, so I had talked to Linda about her and let her know that she could come to the board and request that. They have volunteered to cover the cost. It's upon the bid if they'd like to pay for it.
I think we
Thank-
should pay for it, but
Mhm.
I think we should pay for it, and I think
Gary
I
paid
think
for
that
it,
also potentially lets us kind of keep some oversight of it, because they are running the music for
Yeah,
the
yeah.
downtown.
it could be a sponsorship towards some of the events or something, I don't know.
I mean, you have the funding in your
Yeah.
miscellaneous budget. In the past, whenever it needed a repair, we would get the invoice and pay for it.
Mhm.
So if If
Can
you're okay with
we-
us paying for it, then if you would like, because we have a process that takes a while, you can pay for it and request reimbursement for perhaps. Or I'll work with you offline. Maybe they can just send us the bill.
But it's fine to authorize the expense through a budgeted line item in your budget. I think that's within the bounds of what you can do
Okay, so
today.
can we add that to the motion?
That to the motion?
I already added it.
Okay.
I got you.
Except for I think the times are wrong.
You know,
Seven
and just-
7 AM to 10 PM.
And just to, you know, if you want to add to the motion to have staff come and report back on, you know, the expense, the specifics at a future meeting.
Yes, please.
I don't know if, can you go till 10 PM? Nobody's even down
It's
there.
pretty late.
I think really it's, you know,
Nine.
the city's noise ordinance,
Yeah.
the thresholds start to kick in at a lower level at 9 PM.
Yeah,
So I
so
would
9.
not do it. And because there's a fair amount of residential
Yeah.
right adjacent to
Yeah,
the
yeah.
village. So
So, but it's 7 to 9.
7 to 9. yeah.
Perfect.
Okay, so I'll conduct an oral roll call vote. Board Member Davis.
Yes.
Board Member Jarvis.
Yes.
Board Member Schneider. Chair Nolan.
Yes,
Motion carries 4-0.
perfect. Moving on to the approve exterior music selection. Wait a minute. Just did that. Sorry.
You have to do it again.
The proposed ordinance to increase the number of outdoor events a business may host in the village. Valerie.
Thank you. Okay, so thank you. All right, so this is something we talked about at the September meeting. And this is again, just to go ahead and present to council a request to go ahead and amend our Glendora Municipal Code 532, which is special events. Right now, they are allowed 3. We did talk about this already. And the intent was to increase the number of events that businesses within the village can have from 3 to 24. And at the September meeting, the board went ahead and approved staff going ahead and preparing the ordinance. If you recall, we had 4 present at that meeting. We had 3 ayes, 1 no, and again, 1 was absent. And so that no, we were told, was due to no amplification. And then we kind of heard that maybe there was some room for further discussion on the no amplification portion. So we went ahead and prepared the ordinance. We did so that signatures would be required with amplification. I'm getting ahead of myself. That was what was approved, but let me move on here. So we prepared the ordinance and we went ahead and added a section that was exclusive to the bid. It was included in your packet. And again, it's going to request that businesses within the bid can have 24 events per year. And even though there was the instruction to include it with no amplification, we went ahead and wanted to give you the opportunity to discuss that again. So we included that amplification would be allowed with signatures and 10-day notice, and wanted to give you guys the opportunity to make sure you were okay with that. You know, if the amplification is above levels that we want to, we can always, if we get complaints, code enforcement can go out there and ask that they keep it down. So we think we can go ahead and maintain a certain level that would be acceptable. So again, we're here today to present the ordinance as it is prepared and will be presented to council. We made the changes to allow amplification, included that signatures would be required for the amplification and 10 days notice. So we are here, just again, if there's any concerns, if you guys want to further discuss anything, please, this is the opportunity to do so. But otherwise, we're just here to ask for your recommendation to the city council to approve the proposed ordinance, amending GMC 532, increasing the number of events to 3 to 24 with amplification. And with that, I'll return it to the board if you guys have any questions.
What are the current parameters around how big these events are?
There, I don't think are any parameters. They can be anything outside truly is supposed to have a permit. But again, these apply to the flashback. So that's how large they can get to something as tiny as a grand opening that's outside.
Yeah, the criteria, it's not a, let's say, a specific like house size and high, but there's some general criteria for evaluating an event to make sure that it's, not damaging basic health, safety, and welfare components, attracting, negative things like crime and so forth. There are things in place to address those issues. So it gives the city broad flexibility to approve or, deny or modify events as they come in, because this is the type of thing that covers, it could cover a large carnival, circus comes to town, the flashback, anything that. And this was really just a way to plug in small little events for people who might want to have like a little ensemble out on a patio or something like that.
What was the original issue that necessitated this? There was someone in particular in the village that wanted to do more?
It originated somewhat from having the parklets out, giving the restaurants opportunity to have more events outside. There's some restaurants that like to bring in live entertainment, little music groups, or one or two. And technically, they're only allowed to do that 3 times.
I see.
But with the parklet, it can be part of their regular business plan.
Got it. Okay.
So each time that you're going to have music outside, that's considered an event. Even if it's a guitar player out there singing or something like that,
Yes.
And so each time they're going to have to apply for a permit.
If they want to schedule in advance, they can include that in one application. So they can say, our plan is to do this, the first and third Saturday of the month. They can do that all at once. But if it's just, we're going to do it next Saturday and it's just spontaneous, they do need to have an application. And yes.
And who enforces this?
I was going to ask that also.
So it's submitted to our finance department, who routes it through all the departments. And then, if we get complaints and we don't have a permit in place, then we have code enforcement go out there.
Got it.
So have we had permits issued to Parklet Entertainment yet? Because I know have had Parklet Entertainment happen. Have we issued permits for any of those?
We have not.
How about non-parklet entertainment, other events?
That would be allowed under this as well.
But
So
that we issued permits like that recently? Maybe poker tournaments or something like that? No,
I can't recall. That may have come through. Honestly, I don't recall.
because those would be the types of things that would have to be.
If it's outside, yes.
Okay.
I think the city, from a general liability perspective and access to the public right of way, is primarily concerned with things going on the sidewalk or the street. You just can't show up and set up tents and live music, in parking spaces on the street or sidewalk without, providing, insurance to the city, and going through the safety process. That's why those permits, when they get submitted to, the finance department, it goes to the police department, public works, community development, community services, and everybody weighs in on those general safety things happening on private property, particularly within the 4 walls of a building. Occasionally, that's really not, no reason for the city to get inside your building and tell you that you can't play a radio or something like that.
I think this at least gives us the ability for local businesses to do more with the parklets and the bus plaza and the Maida Avenue areas if they want to. So I'm going to make a motion to approve.
Hold on.
Yes.
I still have some things I want clarified. On the municipal code, section B, item 4, it says there's limited to 3 events per year per property with a maximum total of 3 days in duration. So does that 3-day duration event count as one event? Or would those be separate events?
So that is how it is currently read, and that's how it is still going to apply to the entire city except for the bid.
Mm-hmm.
When you're saying 3 events per year with a maximum total of 3 days in duration, that's supposed to be three days. So that's why we are increasing it for the bid
Oh, okay. So
to 24.
So
So C is what we're adding.
each day would count as an event, though.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I wanted clarification on. And there is a section 2 in there in the statement of the ordinance that lists the city council held a public hearing on December 12th, 2023.
Oh, this is a draft ordinance, so that will be, well, actually, that is the date we intend to take it to
Okay,
council.
that's what
So
I was
that's why
wondering.
that's
Yeah,
there.
I
'Cause
was
this,
like,
we're asking for your recommendation, but it
Gotcha.
will go to council.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that as well.
Yes, so if we don't make it, it will be amended to show the correct date that we go to
Okay.
council.
Thank you very
Mhm.
much.
I'll second the motion. if that's fine.
Okay, so we have a motion made by Board Member Davis, seconded by Chair Nolan. I will now conduct an oral roll call vote. Board Member Davis,
Yes.
Board Member Jarvis,
Yes.
Board Member Schneider,
Yes.
Chair Nolan,
Yes.
motion carries 4-0.
Perfect. At this point, we move forward with the Business Improvement District's Advisory Board Fiscal Year 23-24 financial report. And once again, I ask Valerie to give us a report.
Okay, thank you. So this is the last item for today. So this is your regular update on the financial status for the BID. This is good through September 30th, which shows you are now 25% complete of your fiscal year. That when we look at our revenues, you'll see that 35% of assessments have come in. That's a 15% total of total revenues projected. Again, we get most of our revenue, or at least 50% of it, from events which have not yet occurred, or revenue generating events at least. Taking a look at expenditures, similar, most of the expenses come through from events which have not yet shown up on these line items yet. So we've only spent 4% of your budget for the year. So everything seems to be in line. The itemized expenditures are also included as an attachment for your review. And if you look at the very last line in your packet, you'll see that the available cash for the BID is nearing 200,000. So very healthy financially. But that is your update, and I will return it to the board if you have any questions.
Any questions from anybody?
Just hadn't we at one meeting increased the budget for the holiday stroll for the carolers and things? Does that reflect in the expenditures?
You are correct. I don't believe they updated that.
Okay.
So we'll make a note to finance. We've got to let them know when we do these things so they can do it.
All right,
So,
thank you.
yes, thank you.
With no questions, can somebody make a motion?
Yeah, motion to receive and file.
I second.
So a motion was made by Board Member Davis, seconded by Board Member Snyder. I will now conduct an oral roll call vote. Board Member Davis,
Yes.
Board Member Jarvis,
Yes.
Board Member Schneider, Chair Nolan,
Yes.
motion carries 4-0.
Thank you very much. And at this point, I invite the board members and staff to give any closing comments that they might have.
Yes, I'd like to try to add to the agenda for next time, or put whatever process in place to do an assessment, not an assessment, but to have a list available of the bid members' dues and whether they've been paid or not. We'd have some process on an annual basis to be able to see who has paid and who hasn't, and even talk about putting a formal structure in place for a deadline for them. And yeah.
Isn't this work in progress?
Yes, it's in progress, and we will have it for you. So
Okay,
yes, we
Great,
will.
thank you.
And then for the next meeting, I would like to have there, I know like at one point before we had like the Christmas lights on the trees kind of going year round. I know we stopped that. And I don't know if we can continue doing that, because that really brings like a lot of, like now with the parklets and everything, I think it brings like livelihood to the village, and like everything that we're doing at Bus Plaza. So everything will be cohesive with coming to the downtown. So I don't know if we can do that for the next meeting.
I don't know if we can have that ready for the next meeting. That'll go beyond us in this room. We'll have to reach out to Public Works and see what the limitations are. I know one year we kept them up because the wine walk, we wanted to have them up for the wine walk. So typically they'll, if we request, they'll keep them up for the wine walk, but we'll have to reach out to Public Works and see if there's any issues with keeping it year round. So I can, if there's two of you that want to go ahead and do that, we can reach out to Public Works and have them start doing research whether or not that's
You heard
possible.
about the lights that they put in the ficus trees?
Right,
Oh, okay, and leaving them up all year round?
right.
Okay,
I
Yeah.
do remember, Jeff, you might remember this. This goes back a ways. We had looked into doing something similar to this,
That's-
even wrapping the bases of them or something.
yeah.
And
that sounds
I
familiar.
remember it was a outrageous amount that it was going to cost to invest in the proper lighting and that for it. So you may look back through your file.
Yeah,
or something
I'll
to see
talk,
if
I
you-
want to think because we, because the lights themselves are sort of temporary, and then to make it permanent requires like some upgrades to the electrical and other things. So, but we can look into it.
I think it's a good
Again.
idea. And we have the surplus of money right now. It might be a way, it
Have
might
the
be a way
money.
to
Yeah.
spend some of that. And
Oh, that's true.
And
That's
the other
where you
thing
wanna
is,
spend it.
I think, one of the problems in the past was if you left them in the trees, you can't trim the trees.
Right. That's
And
true too.
that was one of the problems, but I think that's why we had looked at wrapping the bases, and it still would give you the lighting and that down there.
Okay, so sort of like a beautification effort to maybe do something more permanent with the trees to
Mhm.
decorate them, either
Mhm.
lights or otherwise. Okay.
Whatever works,
Okay.
however it would work. Yeah,
Do we have a second to put that on the agenda to discussion?
I'll second it.
Okay, perfect. Any objections? Seeing none.
Kathy, you have anything?
Nope.
We're done. Okay.
Yeah, I'm done.
With that, the meeting is adjourned. Oh, staff, did you have anything?
I just want to remind you guys, and it was brought up already in the beginning, but Holiday Stroll is November 17th. So all of you will be invited to go on the stage with City Council. So I'll email you guys. It's usually around 6:10, that they ask that you be there so you can be present for that. And then as Megan mentioned, our first wine walk meeting is scheduled for November 8th. So we'll probably be able to bring you a date when we come back in December for that. That's it.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And meeting adjourned at 9:47.